So we got our NeilMed bottle filled up, used fresh distilled water. Excuse me, do not use tap water because it could have, excuse me, contaminants in it. The amoeba scare is kind of bullshit, but don't use tap water because there is contaminants in it and you're putting that right into your sinuses. I use distilled water because I have a water distiller. You can boil water or you can buy bottled water if you have to. Don't heat it up too hot and don't do it cold. If it's cold, it won't actually go through if you have a small clog as easily. If it's too hot, it's gonna burn. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. Very limited camera angles in here, and I have all of this stuff sitting on the windowsill. So I'm just gonna turn this around so you can see how I fill it up first. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, we're gonna do 2 flushes, or I'm gonna do 2-part flush. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put alcohol. It's not actually really alcohol. It's like a menthol eucalyptus type dealio. And you're supposed to do teaspoons, but it's kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm just gonna do capfuls. And I'm gonna I just made a huge mess by doing that. Just trying to show you guys. Normally I would do this over the sink, so it's not a big deal, but I can clean it up later. So I'm gonna do 2 capfuls, and that should open things up. And then I guess to make this easier, usually I would do 2, you know what, let's do 3. Doesn't seem like much. It tells you right on the back how much to do: mild, medium, strong, extra strong. Everyone complains like on Amazon reviews about how much this stuff burns and everything else. I think different people have different tolerances. I didn't think it was that bad. What does burn like a mofo is the SINUSES, which is oil of oregano, sinus spray, but we'll do that. The idea is to open everything up first. So the menthol and the eucalyptus will open things up, get things flowing. You want to do that before you use the Xlear or the SINUSES, and I use both. And sorry if I pronounce those wrong or botch the names or whatever. Other thing that I do is you want to use xylitol in the rinse to kill the fungi or the bacteria, or at least make it a lot more resistant to thriving in that environment. You want to use birch xylitol. I didn't buy this Xlear brand in the little packets to put in here because it's made in China and it might be made with corn, and I don't trust it. Even though they say if it's non-GMO corn, I don't trust that all corn is non-GMO these days. And it's like $10 for 20 packets, whereas this whole thing that'll probably last me years is $12 on Amazon. So we're gonna do at least, I'm gonna make a huge mess doing this on the shelf so you guys can see it, but we're gonna do at least, you know what, let me kick those in. A full tablespoon, or half a tablespoon actually. By the time we actually spill half of it on the shelf here, or the windowsill rather. Get this stuff and try to get it in there. I'm failing miserably. So that should be enough, because we're also going to follow up with a xylitol spray after we get everything opened up. So that is that. And if you want to, for good measure, you can do like a NeilMed packet. I don't always do that, but we will this time just because most people say that you should use it. So this video will probably get watched a lot. I want to make sure that everyone's doing getting the maximum benefit that they can out of these sinus rinses, because just getting the NeilMed thing and just doing this is a huge difference from adding the alcohol and the xylitol. Huge difference in how effective it is. So let me flip this around, try to get some better camera angles here. So you just put your finger over the thing. Oh fuck, I just made a huge mess. Let me rinse this off really quick. Dry this down. Okay, just put your finger over the top, shake it up quite a bit. A couple different things in there. I'm gonna do a little neti pot rinse. Let's see if you can see me do that. Okay. All right. So I always start with the side that's the least clogged. So my right side is always the problematic side usually. So I start with the left to try to push the open side through to the clogged side and get the shit out. my thinking behind that is if this is clogged, I don't want to shove that shit further up through to try to come around and come out the other side. So that's how I've always done it. It's always worked well for me. Just put the neti pot up there and then gently tilt the head just a little bit and then start to squeeze. We got some nasty mucus drainage there. Oh. And one thing I failed to do for myself, and I failed to tell you to do, is always have tissue Kleenex set up right next to the sink before you start this. I'm gonna have to use toilet paper because what you want to do is clean out both sides before you start to the other side, because if it dislodged some thick mucousy stuff in there, you don't want to push it back through when you switch to the other side. And if you've done sinus rinses before, but you've never used the two products that I just told you about, the xylitol and especially the alcohol, excuse me, I don't know how to describe it, but if you've ever done anything mentholy in your mouth, you know how it kind of has that expansive effect, like on, you know, sinus tissue or whatever. Same thing, that's the whole purpose, to use that. So things are opening up now. It is a little bit uncomfortable, it does burn some, but I mean, no pain, no gain, right? So we'll switch to the other side. You probably won't be able to see as much because my back's gonna be to you, but we'll get it going here. Just a little bit of a trip. Shit. And that's about it. And once again, focusing on doing the video for you guys, and I failed to keep something to blow my nose within arm's reach. So we'll do that a couple times a day, and you always want to keep this clean. Just wash the nozzle with soap and water and then let it air dry. You can use tap water to dry out the bottle, or to, rinse out the bottle. Just put it upside down and let it air dry. The chlorine and stuff in the tap water will evaporate eventually. Just use a little antibacterial soap on the tip that's been in your nose. And make sure you don't let dried soap, don't leave any soap residue in the tube, because it'll dry in there and kind of fuck with your next sinus rinse. Alright, so now we got that done. This is going to be a multi-stage approach, and you want to try to get as much of that drainage out before we go to the next spray, or the nose sprays, which is the next stage. So one of the things you can do is, instead of just blowing your nose upright, bend over and get all of that stuff out of there. That will kind of expedite the stuff, the saline solution draining from the sinuses. And if you used enough alcohol, and please remember, I want to clarify, if you just tuned into this part of the video, do not put regular alcohol in the sinuses. This is alcohol sinus wash from Amazon with a K. And I'll link it up below. Do not buy anything other than this stuff. It's specifically formulated to be a sinus wash. And same thing with the xylitol. Don't buy cheap xylitol that's made in China from GMO corn. It's going to be terrible for you, and you put it right up your nose. So the next thing we're going to do, even though I sound nasally, it's mostly in my throat and whatever, I'm draining into the chest, or from postnasal drip from sleeping last night. But what I was getting at is, if you put enough alcohol in there, you should be able to breathe through your nose now pretty well. And you want to make sure that you've done enough nasal rinsing to where you can breathe, because if you start to use these and you're still totally clogged, it's not going to really get up in there where it needs to. So the first thing we're going to do is do the SINUREGA, and I can tell you this is the most painful part. Most people said it was the alcohol. It's not. The SINUREGA stuff, which is oil of oregano, which is antiviral and antifungal. So it's kind of like the second wave of, hey, let's kill whatever is causing this, backup. For me, I got allergies and I had a lot of drainage for about a week, and then I think I had too much mucus production for the amount that my pipes could basically drain, essentially, and so it gets clogged up, and then once you get clogged up, it starts to swell and get inflamed. So, and then if you don't do anything, obviously it'll get infected eventually. I'm having a hard time talking. So we're just gonna do like a quick spray and then a deep snort to get it really up in there, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna fucking hurt. But this stuff really works. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna do another one on the problematic side, even though it sucks. This really sucks, actually. Again, keep Kleenexes next to you before you set up to do something like this. The way you'll know if you snort enough of it, deep enough, obviously your eyes will be running. It goes away pretty fast though, is when you snort enough of it and it truly penetrates, you'll feel it hit the back of your throat. Stop, that's it. You've done enough. At that point, just keep it up there. I know it's counterintuitive to sniff, but you want to try to keep it up there as much as possible. So we've got oil of oregano, basically, liquid form. And then, normally, I'm going to blow just a little bit. I know this is nasty. I'll probably regret putting these videos up for the rest of my life. But if it helps somebody, it took me years to figure this fucking shit out. And then a couple of these products, like the alcohol, I've never used before yesterday, but it's one of the most effective opening agents that I've ever put in a neti pot or a sinus rinse bottle. Now normally I would wait probably at least 30 minutes or so, because that's enough. You've done the alcohol, you got xylitol, and then we did the oil of oregano, the SINUSES, and that's kind of like, okay, chill out for a little while, 30 minutes to an hour, and then I would do the Xlear xylitol nose spray, but just for the purposes of the video, just to get it all in one time. It's just like using any other nose spray. You just 2 sprays. And we got some results. Oh, lovely. Probably a little bit too much at one time. The only thing I don't like about, doing it quickly like this, I would wait 30 minutes to an hour, is that I don't want to waste, eventually stuff is still going to drain from using the alcohol and doing the sinus flush. So I don't want shit to be draining and then try to put the nose sprays up there, and they really aren't effective because they only stay in for 15 seconds or so and then everything runs. So from now, over the next, every hour on the hour, I will alternate these two. And this is new to me. I don't know how that's gonna work. I might adjust that. I don't have all this figured out just yet. But I used to only take oil of oregano pills. And I was like, well, if we could actually get it up there, it might actually, it might be a lot more effective. So I'm gonna try this on the hour, every other hour, back and forth. And then if you have congestion in I know I've talked about this a lot in other videos, this CBG extract, I'll link all this stuff up so you don't get confused. But if you have anything, sometimes certain people, when they tilt their head and they do neti pot rinses, they kind of get a little bit of fluid and stuff in their ears, and you want to make sure that that is not like infectious or viral carrying fluid or anything that has fungi. One of the things you can do to rebalance the state of the like the natural state of your ear, whatever tubes, is put this stuff in the ears. It'll say that you're supposed to put it on the tongue, right? Like this. But what works really, really well, I found, is to put a couple drops in the ears. So you just do 1, 2, 3, and hold your head like this. And again, I'm not prepared. You should always, just like you should have Kleenex ready for the the neti pot blowing your nose, you should have cotton balls ready for the ears. So I'll just use a little bit of tissue. And then, so you want it to fill your, I think it's your eustachian tubes. And when you can't hear out of it anymore and it's down, you want to slightly tilt your head like this and get it to run down even more. And if you keep your head tilted back as opposed to forward, anything that kind of wants to run out of your ear will get stuck in here and not ooze out the front. And then just put that in there to catch any excess. Get it in there. And then repeat the same thing on the other side. We'll just do 1, 2, 3. And let it flow in until you can tell that you can't hear as well through that ear. Once that, it just takes about 5 to 10 seconds. Then once that happens, slowly turn your head and let it run all the way down. Keep your head up. If you, like I was saying before, if you put your head forward, it'll run down the side of your face. And then put something in your ears to catch the excess. And then just bounce a little bit to try to let gravity pull. And this will help. All that stuff is connected. So this will take care of your ears and definitely make sure that those don't get out of whack just from all this other stuff. Hope that helps. I'm gonna make a couple more videos about if I left anything out. The only thing I think I left out is shit that I keep in the fridge, just because I don't think about it. I know there's fermented cod liver oil in there. I'll double up on that if I have a cold or something, but I haven't for the allergy sinus stuff. I'll double check. If you guys have any comments, or actually if you have any recommendations, if you see something I haven't tried, because I've tried everything I could possibly find, please let me know in the comments below.